Hi, I'm Alyssa Dillard, and this is my quote-unquote speech. These are my people. My mom, my friend Travis, and my dad. All right, let's get the camera steady, and we will begin. All right, hello, my name is Alyssa Dillard, and today I'm doing my quote-unquote speech, the topic of which is a quote by Oscar Wilde, which goes as follows. Crying is the refuge of plain women. Pretty women go shopping. So, who does this Oscar Wilde think he is, saying such a thing about women, and why does he think he can get off saying this? Well, if you don't know, Oscar Wilde is actually a well-known satirist and playwright and author. So, he says a lot of things like this all the time, and usually in plays or books that he's written. And this is actually a satirical quote. But looking at this, it makes me wonder, how did he even come up with the idea of making this quote in the first place? What got in his head to make him think that crying really is the refuge of plain women and pretty women go shopping? Because the body of all satire, there is a little bit of truth to make it so satirical. But I must start with my credibility as a speaker comes from the fact that I am, in fact, a woman and a female, and I cry on occasion and also go shopping, so I feel like I have a lot of ability to analyze this quote and look at it for what it is. But I must first start off with the fact that I agree with Mr. Oscar Wilde. I think that while the quote is very funny, it can also be true in many realms. Not necessarily because this is how women behave, but because this is how the media has portrayed women to act. I personally just watched the entire series of Gossip Girl over the past semester, and in that there is lots of pretty women going shopping, and very few plain women crying, and very almost non-existent occurrences of pretty women crying either. Whenever anything happens that's bad to a character, they usually go, well, now I've got to go to Saks or Bergdorf Goodman or something. And they start going shopping to solve their problems or think about their troubles. And only when everything is down and out and their limo has left them in Brooklyn in the middle of the night will they finally start crying. But it's only until the most drastic of occurrences have gone past and there's nothing else to do. And then we look at television shows and movies, and you see a lot of this too. There's very few women crying who are attractive. Most people who are on television or film are attractive women. This also goes with the point of, if you watch Scandal, the television series by Shonda Rhimes, Olivia Pope, she does cry, but it only happens for a second, and then she quickly gets over it and then moves on to the next task at hand, fast-talking, solving problems. But she's also very attractive, not at all plain, and when you see her and you see her crying, you don't necessarily take her crying to heart, and she's also very stylishly dressed, and it kind of puts the quote to question. But transitioning to another point, I originally found this quote through Facebook. One of my friends had posted it going, what if I do both Oscar Wilde? And I was looking at it in the library at my university, to which two people were looking over my shoulder and said, well, I think she just answered that question herself, because this particular girl spends the majority of her time crying, usually over boys, and because of it, she's kind of deemed as a little plain. Not necessarily in a malicious way, but it was, a discussion had then been bred talking about her nature and why she picked the quote and if she really thought that there could be a way to be both and how most people didn't think there was. But I think that there can be. I think that there is a potential to be both. Even if we don't necessarily know why Oscar Wilde had made this quote or why it exists, I think that there is a potential. And I challenge you in this to think about the idea of women and their roles in the media and the world today, and see how that works out. So thank you very much.
Yay!
Right.